All right, all morning long, we've been telling you that Jerry Sandusky is in a courthouse awaiting his fate. Well, his fate has come. Let's head to the courthouse now. And Susan Candiotti, what's the sentence?
Carol, Jerry Sandusky will die in jail. As expected, he got a very long sentence. The judge said not less than 30 years, not more than 60 years. Well, Jerry Sandusky is 68 years old, so he will spend the rest of his life in jail. He got credit for time served, the judge said, 112 days, and he will spend the next 10 days in the local jail until they send him to prison. Now, we do know that he spoke for about 13 minutes or so. He went on and said these words that included, quote, "I did not do these disgusting acts," and he repeated that sentence time and again. This, as the victims also got to hear him and then make their own statements. And we know that they were going to say that they were angry and wanted the judge to really throw the book at him, and that's exactly what the judge did. Now, Jerry Sandusky is now leaving the courthouse. He is wearing a bulletproof vest. He was in shackles. He's walking out, and then he will be taken to jail and then on to eventually to the prison where he will be serving out his sentence. And we'll be getting more color about what happened in court from Jason Carroll, who is out of the courthouse.
Yeah, I just wanted to read and make it clear to our audience what exactly happened. So Jerry Sandusky was sentenced to not less than 30 years, not more than 60 years. He got 112 days of credit, and the next 10 days will be in a local jail before he's going on to prison. We saw live pictures of Jerry Sandusky getting into that police car. I would assume he's back on his way to that local jail before he's transferred to a federal prison. Is Jason Carroll out of the courthouse yet, Susan? I think he's ready now. Jason, are you there?
He's just stepping out. That's right, and ready to tell you.
I am here, Carol. Just came out of the courthouse just a few moments ago. Just want to give you just sort of a sense of what happened as Jerry Sandusky stood up to speak. He became very emotional toward the end of while he was addressing the court. Let me just read to you some of the quotes I was able to pick up from him. He said at the outset, he said, "I feel the need to talk not for arrogance, but from my heart. I am filled with emotion and determination. I did not do these disgusting acts." He then went on to speak about his past. He spoke about his wife Dottie, saying, "I told Dottie," using a sports reference, "that this is the day that we're in the fourth quarter." He said, "This is the time when you find out who your friends are in the fourth quarter, those who will stand by you." He said, "I'd like to believe they know me the most. They continue to stand by me." He became very emotional at the conclusion of while he was addressing the court. He'd been criticized throughout the proceeding. Even today, he was criticized for smirking his way through things. He said that, basically saying that he was smiling through the pain, and he started tearing up, and he said, "This is what my family does. We smile when things get tough." Some of the other emotional moments, as you can imagine, were some of the victims themselves when they stood up and they addressed the court. For instance, victim number 6, that's how he was identified. He spoke to Jerry, spoke to the court. He said, "That night you told me you were the tickle monster, so you could touch my 11-year-old body. I realize now just how much you manipulated me." At that point, Jerry just looked stone-faced. I looked over at his family. They were looking down as the victims stood up. Victim number 5 then addressed the court, saying, "The sentence will never erase what he did to me. It will never make me whole. He must pay for his crimes. Take into account the tears, the pain, the private anguish." Victim number 5 did not look at Jerry, who was seated just a few feet away from him. But what I found interesting was victim number 4. I remember when victim number 4 testified, he was one of the more feisty victims who took the stand, and he was feisty even today. He looked directly at Jerry Sandusky, not once, Carol, but several times. Well, he gave his victim impact statement. He said, quote, "I want you to know I do not forgive you. I don't know if I ever can forgive you." Lots of emotion in the courtroom today, Carol, that's for sure.
So Jason Carroll and Susan Candiotti stand by. I want to bring in Paul Callan, our legal analyst. Paul, we had heard that the judge might sentence Jerry Sandusky up to 400 years in prison. He comes back with a sentence not less than 30 years, not more than 60. Is this because of Jerry Sandusky's age?
Yes, I think that's an important factor. The judge is undoubtedly looking at the fact that even a 30-year sentence will probably mean that Jerry Sandusky will die in prison. And, you know, these sentences, these consecutive sentences, which could have added up to over 400 years, while technically it might be a legal sentence, when an appellate court is looking at the case, it looks like a vindictive judge as opposed to a judge who's trying to be fair and reasonable in his approach to the case. So I think it sort of strengthens the hand of the judge in having the conviction upheld by doing this kind of a sentence as opposed to one of those off-the-books huge numbers.